Hello guys, welcome to Dr. Spine. So today we'll be talking about lung mechanics, in which we'll be going to cover inspiration and expiration physiology. So let's start. As you can see on the screen that the major muscles of inspiration is diaphragm. That is the most common, and during silent breathing that is used, and uh, along with that other muscles are upper and lateral external intercostal muscles and parasternal part of internal intercostal muscles, and both of these muscles help in elevate the ribs. How I show you? As you can see here that this is sternum, which is normally like in normal stage without inspiration or expiration. It is situated in this stage, and when a person inspires with the help of inspiratory muscles, the sternum moves forward and upward, causing this movement from here to here. Similarly, though internal and external intercostal muscles move the ribs from this position to this position, means from here to here. Because of this, the cross section increases, and which helps to capture maximum amount of air with with every breathing, with every inspiration. As you can see here, the muscles used are internal intercostal muscles, external intercostal muscles. The external intercostal muscles are located in such a way that they are arranged in such a way. Because of that, they help in increasing the lung volume, and similarly the internal intercostal muscles are located in such a way, are arranged in such a systemic fashion, which are useful for expiration and inspiration. So as you can see here, the muscles involved in inspiration is diaphragm, external intercostal muscle, sorry. Along with that, sternocleidomastoid, anterior serratus, scalene, and alenacea. Sorry for my pronunciation. And along with that, expiratory muscles which are used during hyperventilation. Here, I would like to point one thing, that after normal, quiet inspiration, the expiration is followed with passive mechanism. There are no extra muscles used for expiration. As lung recoils, because of that recoil, the amount of air that is expired is passive. There are no extra used muscles. For hyperventilation, muscles used are rectus abdominis, internal intercostal muscles, internal and external oblique, and transverse abdominis, as you can see in the left diagram. Along with that, I would like to add that the phrenic nerve comes from the C3 and C5, give innervations to the diaphragm, which pulls the lungs. So as you can see here in the figure, you can see that normal quiet breathing, there is contraction of diaphragm through phrenic nerve. The lower surface of the lung is pulled downward, and because of that, the inspiration is facilitated. And similarly, during expiration, the diaphragm is simply relaxes, and the elastic recoil of the lung, chest wall, and the abdominal muscles compress the lung and expels the air. Now let's go with the components of the chest cavity. As we know that the air from the nasal cavity, from the environment, through the nasal cavity, through the pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchus, and bronchi and bronchioles, goes into the alveoli. From alveoli, the gaseous exchange takes place. Well, along with that, I would like to add some of the pressures like intraalveolar pressure, intrapleural pressure, and atmospheric pressure. Now, let's discuss the transmural pressure, which is the pressure across two components, like from pressure across 1 to 2, which is, let me show you, the pressure in this area, the one I am highlighting, it is called transpulmonary pressure, means the pressure in the alveoli minus the pressure outside the pleura. means pressure in the pleura, means inside alveoli and in pleura. That's called transpulmonary pressure. Similarly, from second to third, means from pleura to an atmospheric pressure, the pressure difference is called transthoracic pressure. And similarly, the pressure throughout the chest wall from 1 to 3 is known as transrespiratory pressure, means pressure of alveoli minus pressure of atmospheric. So during like inspiration and expiration, it is very important to know the importance of the pleural cavity. The pleural cavity is generally negative pressure, and it is very sticky. Because of that stickiness and negative pressure, the pleural cavity plays a very important role in respirations. Let me explain you. Suppose take suppose think of this as a box which is fixed box. This box want to expand, but because of the arrangement, think of this box as a chest wall wants to expand, but because of presence of ribs and all structure, it cannot expand furthermore. And inside that box there is elastic tissue which is lung tissue, and due to presence of that lung tissue, the both of them are so systematically synchronized that inspiration and expiration is facilitated. As we know that a lung is an elastic tissue, and every elastic tissue has capacity to recoil, and every elastic tissue wants to stay in its resting state. Here I must highlight to something, that lungs are larger than they are in the resting stage, and chest cavity is smaller than its resting stage. What does this statement mean? Means that chest cavity has its capacity to fully expand, but it is smaller, and lungs tries to stay in smaller state, means relaxed state, but it is larger. Why is that so? Because of presence of pleural cavity. Pleura is two layer, like visceral pleura. When I draw a lung like this is lung, and the orange is visceral pleura, and this one is parietal pleura, which is attached with the chest wall. Now what happens that as parietal pleura is attached with the chest wall and visceral pleura is attached with the lungs, because there is not a real space, there is a negative pressure created in the pleural cavity. Because of that negative pressure which is created here, these both pleura are strongly stuck with each other. Due to that, what happens that as in the chest cavity, the parietal pleura is attached to the chest wall. So up to physiological limit, chest wall can expand, and along with that lungs also do have to expand. How? I'll show you. Think this is lung tissue. As is elastic, it wants to get smaller. True. Now we add pleura. This is visceral pleura, and this is parietal pleura, which is attached to a chest wall. Lung wants to recoil, means wants to get smaller, but as chest wall doesn't have a certain capacity to get that small, hence it doesn't get small. Along with that, parietal pleura is attached, so it also doesn't allow the lungs to recoil to its smaller position. And because of the negative pressure which is created, both of the pleura are stuck so strongly that it doesn't allow the visceral pleura, which is this, to get smaller. And sorry, as visceral pleura doesn't get small, it doesn't allow the lungs to get that small. So lungs are not collapsed. That's the thing, that due to negative pressure in pleural cavity, lungs doesn't collapse and chest wall keeps it inflated, means not inflated, but it doesn't let it prevent the collapsing of lung. And during inspiration also, with the muscles of intercostal muscles, abdominal muscles, when those muscles contract, the chest cavity expand. So along with that chest cavity, there is expansion of parietal pleura, there is expansion, along with that visceral pleura expands, that pulls out the lungs, and due to that air inspiration is done. Now let's go to through words. As I showed here, that lungs are larger than they are in resting stage, and chest cavity is smaller than in resting stage. So now you get the concept that why the negative pleura is useful. And as lung has the elastic tissue tendency to recoil, chest wall has its structure and attached to the ribs, hence they have tendency to maintain its position. So thus the negative pressure in the pleura plays an important role in facilitating proper inspiration of air and also expiration of air. Like during expiration, the lungs has during expiration, when a person expires, lungs recoils to its normal position, and due to that normal position, the air is sent out of the lungs. But due to chest wall, the lungs cannot get so small. It can only get up to a certain physiologic limit only. That is why the negative pleura is important. As you know that in some cases you might have known that like traumatic pneumothorax, where there is punctured lung, not punctured lung, there is puncture in the chest wall or thoracic cavity. Because of that, air is filled in it. Because of that, the negative pressure is now no more on that side. Because of that, the lung gets collapsed because there is no pressure pulling the lungs upward. So as this we can conclude that when a person inspires, through inspiratory muscle function and the chest wall expand, along with chest wall, pleura expand, creating negative pressure, thus pulling the visceral pleura that pulls the lungs with it, and that pulls the air in. That's all guys. Thank you guys. That's all for today.